Hey addicts, welcome back to the channel. We are here for more Danmachi, specifically Season 4. I know everyone is excited for Volume 17. We're going to talk about it here on the channel, but it's going to be a little bit. But we're coming back for Season 4, Episode 8. This is another example of an episode that is really, really good, really enjoyable watch. There's a couple things I do want to highlight in the episode, but it is mostly action, so there's not a whole lot to break down or discuss. So we're just going to highlight a couple things that I really did like. Starting off with, not to beat a dead horse, the prophecy, showing it again. It made me double check like what episode I clicked, because I thought I was replaying episode 7, but we got to some extra shots in there. Loving that. I think it carrying that... again, like what we talked about in the last episode review, that sense of dread and just an ominous, presence going forward with the next big calamity thing coming up, I think is really a good way to just carry it on into the next episode. And it lets you have, the different elements of the prophecy coming into play and letting you, I guess, try to predict what the certain lines of the prophecy are meaning. So a big chunk of this episode is misdirecting a lot of, the direction that you're going to have for Liu, right? Obviously, it's wanting to have the audience feel a certain way about her, or kind of, maybe a distrust of what we've known about her character so far, right? So I really do like that element. I think seeing Liu in this as a different light, I think it's just one of the things that drew me to her character in this arc. Liu's a very complex character, and I think a lot of that has to do with her past. And while I do think they have the evils in the series a lot, and I hope this arc was the last chapter of that, or at least that's what I hope. I hope we don't see any of the evils pop up again for book material going forward, but I think it was a great way to cap off not only just that chapter of characters, but it lets you have a really just nice deep dive into Liu and seeing the complexities of her character. And I'm not going to go into so much detail because, for you guys only watching the show, don't want to spoil for what comes up, but I think there's going to be a lot of things revealed about Liu, some expounding upon some stuff you do know, but seeing it in a little bit more detail. That's going to be a real highlight for her character going forward in the episodes and the seasons to come. And so if you want a little bit more of that, you can jump back out of our discussion review of that. I think we didn't beat it to death, but I think we went into those topics in a fun approach, but also just, elaborating to their extent. But yeah, besides Liu, I do want to highlight the dungeon here itself as well, because this is something that in the books, you don't really have a visual stability, right? Because your imagination is what you're seeing. Obviously, the author is going to direct your imagination, but, a lot of that stuff you're coming up with how it looks in your head. But in the show, since we haven't seen that many different levels of the dungeon, you do get a lot of the same monsters. And in this season, they've done a really good job of showing us, not just ones like Mari and, the Moss Huge, the more specific, unique monsters, but just other monsters that are in the dungeon that are new to the party, new to Bell, that he's having to face as he's going deeper and deeper into the levels. And this episode's a great highlight with starting off just seeing the Boars group that Bell's part of and helping be the vanguard of that group, and him just tackling up some other monsters. And I think that's something that I really like seeing and want to see. I'm excited just in general to see from what we know of the material in this season, seeing those monsters pop up, because there is some specific ones that are mentioned that are going to be really hyped to see, I think. But also just going forward in the series as well, because really at this point you can put anything in the dungeon and it wouldn't come across as a surprise. If anything, it'd just be like, That's great. They have to face that now too, which you know, we know our Hestia Familia can always get past the most insurmountable odds, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be hard to watch, which I think is, you know, something that there's going to be a lot of those moments coming up here. We're just seeing teases of it, man. Especially seeing the prophecy. I think that's building a lot of hype. Just being like knowing what's coming, you know, because there's you know, they're fighting against fate at this point, but I think we're getting enough inkling of, you know, what's kind of, you know, obviously there's going to be a bigger reveal going forward, but you're already getting some setup of, you know, something is in the dungeon and it's pissed off. It's just unfortunate that Hestia Familia always seems like they're the main target of the dungeon, but or maybe Spell specifically, but what can I say? He's destined to be a hero, man. So I guess the other thing I kind of just wanted to point up was we do get Bell learning a little bit more. Not learning more, because he already knows this information. I guess it's just him trying to fight the realization of, well, not realization, but coming to a conscious crossroads of, this is what I think Liu is in my mind, and this is all the evidence that's kind of weighing out what he wants to hold dear. So I do love that clash, but more important, or more than that, I do like the potential of seeing the flashbacks for Astria Familia. That's something that I really do want to see. I think it's important that they put it in here. I know we've been getting a lot of exposition, and some of it's not necessarily like new information. It's just like rehashing, which I don't, obviously, like, done wrong or like done too much is definitely not a good thing. But I feel like these are all things that the characters in the moment would be talking about amongst themselves. So, you know, specifically in this episode, I'm not like griping that it's there. It's more so just that I hope that, you know, by the end of the season, we will see a little bit of that. Or like I said in a previous one, if they want to do a spin-off season or like OVA of the Liu side story, they could put it in there as well. But I think it would be a really nice just justification of to what extent is driving Liu to do these horrific things that, you know, we don't, at the viewer at this point, can't justify, you know, and doesn't maybe see her in the right. And so I think that would be really important for it to be placed somewhere in this season. And again, I think it does add to just another reason why I personally love Liu as a character and would put her in like the top of the characters of the series. But another cool thing that we got in this episode that I just wanted to shout out, because it's so dang cool, and it's going to be such a awesome addition to a fight later on. But you do have the black Goliath cloth that Cassandra insisted that Belle didn't leave without. And it was really cool seeing just the first signs of Belle using it as an offensive tool, because we have seen it used as just primarily as protection or in defensive scenarios. But I really do love how he's used it as an offensive ability through this arc, and just seeing, you know, like, again, there's a lot of little teases going on in a lot of these early episodes. Awesome. I shouldn't say early, you know what I mean, early to the bigger conflicts, because we're 8 episodes deep, and I think, you know, we're probably going to get 12 or 13 episodes, but you know, I'm going to be surprised at that, because I never could confirm that. So we'll find out. But yeah, I really am looking forward to the next episodes. We won't make this too long. I'm trying to make these a little bit shorter, and I want to stay clear more of the recapness and just kind of more go into thoughts and feelings and actually make it more of a discussion than a recap. So we're going to leave it off there, and we're going to try to be back at a steady pace of getting these turned out so that we can catch up, or at least not feel too far behind. But anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next video, and as always, peace, addicts.